All right, next then we have Ray Dietrich. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ray Dietrich, and I'm the Community Engagement Sergeant here at the University Police Department.
Thank you. Next up, we have Dr. Tina Yang. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Tina Young. I'm an Associate Director of Clinical Services at the Counseling Center and also a licensed psychologist.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Elizabeth Martinez. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Martinez Prado. I'm the Victim Outreach Coordinator at TAMUC.
All right. Thank you all for introducing yourself. And now we're going to get into our questionnaire. So the first question will be more for Title IX and UPD. So we're going to start with how to report. So Michael Hill, can you please explain a bit about your role on campus and how a student may report their concern to you in regards to sex discrimination, sexual assault, dating violence, stalking, or anything in relation to Title IX?
Yes, sir. And that's a very good question. So again, I'm the Title IX Civil Rights Coordinator here on campus. If a student has found themselves in a situation, they can report via email. My email is michael.hill@tamuc.edu. I have my phone number. If it's a situation where they feel they need to call, it's going to be 903-468-3104, and that's my direct line. We also have a general email, which is Title IX, TITLEIX, so Title IX, and that's at tamuc.edu. So that's a general email that will, I will see it as well as one of my coworkers. So if you want to submit an email via that way, you can do that. We also have the university has a secure line that if you do not want to submit your information or you want to do it anonymously, you can submit it going online. I'm actually going to pull it up to give you guys the exact address, but it's on the Title IX website, on the Title IX homepage. It is, if you submit it as a, one second. It's going to be under reporting, and we have the I will have to get back to you guys on that one. I'm sorry, I don't see it right now. It's an ethics point. So if you go to the, like I said, the Title IX, if you go to the compliance webpage, and there's a section where you can submit anonymously an ethics point, and that will get to my office. Again, that it's going to be anonymous. So if you do want us to respond or follow up with you, we'll need information as far as like a means of communicating with you via email, phone number, but at the same time, it is anonymous. So if that's what you're looking for, we may not be able to follow up if we're not provided any kind of contact information. So again, as far as reporting, you have email, phone, and then if it's a situation where you've talked to someone just on campus, most of our staff are mandatory reporters, so faculty, staff members. If it's a situation where a student finds themselves that they're more comfortable talking to a staff member, that staff member will more than likely let them know that they also have an obligation to report what's happened, not so much who it happened to, but they'll have to report to me what's happened. And I know, well, I'll let the confidential report, I guess you have a question for that, so I'll let you get to that later, but that's pretty much it. And I try to be seen on campus, so if you see me walking around campus, definitely feel free to walk up to me, ask me any questions. And I'll try to answer as much as I can.
All right, thank you, Michael Hill. So our next question is for Mr. Ray Dietrich. So can you explain a little bit about your role on campus and how a student may report their concern on sex discrimination, sexual assault, dating violence, stalking, or anything in relation to the university police, and how it differs from reporting to Title IX?
Sure. Let's start a little bit about UPD very quickly. So those of you that weren't aware, University Police Department serves as a primary law enforcement agency for the university. We are a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week police service, and we have approximately 25 officers on the department. So when it comes to our role in those type of crimes, we break that down really into, we have a patrol division, which is the division most of you will see driving around taking calls, or if a victim calls in to report, a lot of times this is going to be their first contact with UPD is on a patrol level. We also have a CID or detective division, which does the investigation of those crimes. Currently, I serve in the role of community engagement sergeant. In that particular role, my job really is to build bridges and give information, and that's to students, faculty, and staff. And so when we look at the difference between, say, the university police and the Title IX reporting, it really boils down to UPD handles all incidents that are criminal in nature. Although I would tell you, and Michael would probably agree, we work together frequently and work together really well. Although we're investigating possibly the same instance or incident, we vary on what we're looking for. So we're looking for the criminal side of those actions and bringing justice to those victims. For us, when we talk about reporting, the victim can report really one of three ways. They can walk in, and if they walk in, they actually don't typically meet with a patrol officer at that point. Based on the nature of the incident, especially if it's, say, a sexual assault, they'll directly meet with an investigator. And that investigator's job is to determine what crime actually took place and move forward with that. They can call in, and that's also a typical way that you contact the University Police Department. You pick up the phone and you call to report. Patrol officer will come out to the location, take some information, determine the nature of the crime, and then move forward from there. The third part that how you can report is you can be actually referred by a third party, although that typically from the UPD side is a little more challenging for us. In the case of third-party referrals, typically a detective is going to contact the potential victim, and then really it's up to the victim at that point if they wish to speak with us and cooperate in an investigation. They're under no obligation to, but we do reach out just based on looking out for the safety and welfare of a potential victim.
Thank you so much. This next question will be for both Michael and Ray. What should a student expect within the reporting process, and is it confidential?
Ray, I'll go ahead and start. Basically, and again, depending on who you contact first, Ray said, they're looking for the justice part of it. My office is looking more along the lines of how can we, put the student back in a position to where they're not, as stressed or as concerned. We have resources available to them, as far as counseling. If it's something where we need to get housing adjusted, or if we need to adjust a schedule so that they're not in classes with, a person that may have done something to them. So basically contacting me, I try to set up a meeting to basically go through kind of what they're going through and how we can get it resolved at that point. And then from that, if it's something that needs to go as far as having an actual Title IX investigation, that's a possible avenue. Or if it's something where we can have an unofficial resolution, then we work that also. And I work to put those options out there so that we can get it resolved. And that's more along the lines of how it would go, starting off with me versus Ray.
All right, so to kind of pick up where Michael left off, so what they should expect kind of once again depends on how that they contacted us, whether it was a walk-in, a call-in, or a third party. And so what they can expect is let's just do like a call-in, because that typically, for the majority of our calls, that's how we get them. So a patrol officer is going to come out, and they're going to get some basic information from the caller, or for better lack of term, the victim of whatever the incident is. So but keep in mind, depending on what the crime is, depends on how we respond. So if we get a call in regards to, say, somebody wants to complain about sexual discrimination, well, for us, we're going to take that and we're going to actually immediately forward it over to Michael, because that's not something that we typically will handle. Although that it definitely is categorized as poor and bad behavior, it's not necessarily criminal in nature for, say, something like that. But if we get a call on, say, dating violence or stalking, then what we do is we handle that the way we would handle any other crime. We take that information, we get statements, we gather evidence if it's available, and then we move forward. That information would be developed into a report, and that report would be sent over to the CID division, who would then look that report over, contact victims, contact potential suspects of that crime, and they would begin an interview process, and they would take a look at each individual piece to determine whether probable cause was available for us to move forward. When we start talking about more along the lines of sexual assault, just so everybody's on the same page, we don't, as a police department or as police in Texas in general, use the same definitions that some of the other entities here will use. So when we speak about sexual assault, it is a very specific crime where very specific actions have taken place, where Michael might use that phrase to be an encompassing actions, where for us in the legal sense and how the law is written, we might not consider it a sexual assault, but maybe something more along the lines of an indecent assault, which is a new offense that we've just had for a couple of years now, which gives UPD a great tool in addressing that kind of behavior. So is it confidential? Absolutely. Although the victims of those crimes need to be aware that detectives will interview suspects. So, and we will interview witnesses. So as far as confidentiality, absolutely, you can expect that and from the police department. But in the course of that investigation, we will contact anybody else that's involved with that. So theoretically, you could have multiple people know that you reported, but it's all going to be folks that are related to that case.
All right, thank you both. All right, Michael Hill. So earlier you brought up about staff being mandatory reporters, which brings me to my next question. Can you explain the difference between a mandatory reporter and someone who's a confidential reporter?
Yes, sir. And that's definitely a good question. And I think Ray kind of hit on it. There's when someone has a legal obligation to maintain confidence, then they're considered to be a confidential reporter. So, and legal thinking like an attorney-client or counselor, person that they're counseling. So those people that, if a student or faculty member were to go to the counseling center to seek counseling, then that is confidential. Again, the counseling center does not report to us what's happened or that they're counseling someone. They merely would let us know that something has happened and give it the classification, kind of like Ray said, if it's a sexual assault, if it's a sexual harassment, discrimination, that's all that they would report. Now, as far as our faculty and staff members, other than those counselor members, people that work in the counseling office, they're considered to be mandatory reporters. And while the conversations can be private, they do have an obligation to report to my office, specifically, names, dates, times, and places, and to be specific. But then also, they'll also ask the student or the person, they'll let them know, I am a mandatory reporter. Anything that you tell me, I will have to report. So if you don't want to tell me, that's fine. Or if you just want to tell me kind of what happened and we can get the police here, that's fine too. So that's mainly the difference between the mandatory report versus the confidential report.
All right, thank you, Michael. All right, Ray, can you explain to us the purpose of the Clery report?
Sure. The purpose of the Clery report is to provide transparency around campus crime, campus policy, and statistics. Each university is required to document specific types of crime on that campus and provide that. We do that with a public annual security report. We provide that to employees, students, prospective employees, and students every October the 1st. And it categorizes everything from different types of crimes, including, say, sexual assault, robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, those type of crimes. So people have they can make an informed decision on the campus that they're going to. In addition to that, those also categorize hate crimes and crimes of family violence. And those are kind of general terms, but if they fall into one of those categories, it's documented, and then those stats are available to the public at any time. Here at UPD, if you're interested in seeing those stats, they can be located on the UPD website, or you can send a email request. You could email it to me and I could get it for you. But typically that is handled through, we have a department specifically with multiple personnel that handle Clery. It's actually a really big report and a really big job to keep that all in line. And in addition to the Clery for the UPD, just about everybody that's on this panel also is mandated to keep Clery numbers and to make sure that we all speak. And we all have to know what's going on when it comes to Clery. So it's just about keeping the public and the students informed about the crime that occurs on a campus. And I'm pleased to say our campus is incredibly safe. So.
Thank you so much. All right, Michael and Ray, is there anything that you feel you may need to add for any of the students or faculty to know at this time?
Nope. Just, again, the big thing is reporting when incidents happen so that we can get the resources that we have available to you. And then don't feel that, if you're not sure what exactly happened, don't feel like that should stop you from reporting. Part of our job is also figuring out, what type of, incident or crime has taken place.
And I would concur with that. I would say by looking at the folks that are on this, not only on the panel, but that attended this, we represent the leadership on this campus. And I think it's our duty to keep our students well informed, to encourage them to report, to get any necessary help that they need, whatever that may be. And after 20 years, what I have found is there's not one answer fixes everything. For some people, it's they want to file and move forward with a police report. Some of them don't want to talk to me. Some of them just want to talk to Michael or go in and talk with Tina. The healing process for an individual is that it's an individual process. We have to encourage the interaction with those of us that are able to provide some help to those victims. And I would just encourage each one of you that are watching this to be the leader that we know that you are when it comes to these kind of incidents.
All right, thank you both so much. All right, our next portion of the questionnaire will be for our Texas A&M University Commerce Counseling Center and our Victim Outreach Coordinator. So we're gonna start with Dr. Tina Young. Can you please let the students and faculty know how the A&M Commerce Counseling Department can help a student support a student who has been affected by sex discrimination, sexual assault, dating violence, stalking, or anything in relation to?
Sure, thank you, Devin. The Counseling Center offers counseling services to all of our students who've been impacted by those situations related to sexual discrimination, sexual assault, dating violence, or stalking. Everyone responds to these events differently. All of our counselors, including interns, are trained to provide trauma-informed therapies so that we can provide these services competently and sensitively to our clients' needs. Just want to kind of give everybody a little bit information about kind of our operation hours and other contact information. So we're open from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. The Counseling Center phone number is on the student's, on the back of the student ID. And this same number also serves as an after-hour crisis number that student can call in and talk with the counselor during nights and weekends.
Great, thank you. So you kind of spoke a little bit about how students can make an appointment by calling that number. Is this at any cost to the student, and what can they expect when going to the counseling center?
Definitely. So currently during COVID-19, all of our services are provided by via video or by phone. And this is to help everyone stay safe and healthy, as well as to protect our clients' confidentiality. Because of contact tracing, the guideline can really compromise our students, our clients' privacy and confidentiality. So we want to make sure that we can continue the services without interruption. One thing, so there are no costs associated with our services. However, because of high demand of our service, we want to make sure that we're maximizing the use over time with students. So there's a late cancellation and no-show fee associated with it. Like what Michael already mentioned, we're not mandate reporter, but we're confidential reporter. So Texas passed a law, Senate Bill 212, and went in effect this year that, so correct me if I'm wrong, Michael. So we're not disclosing any information related to the incident, but we do have to report the number of and the category of the case. So in my report to Michael, it's usually once a week report, that would say something like, one case of sexual assault or one case of stalking, and no more than that. One thing that clients can expect when they're coming to our service is that we work with individuals and attend to what they're needing at this time. Everyone responds to traumatic experiences differently, like Ray already mentioned. So a lot of people, they may be coming in, but they may not be ready to talk about it. But however, it may be impacting their sleep or concentration. So we start with that. We don't force our client to reveal anything that they're not ready to share. And we respect, giving them their space and privacy and allow them time to process what they're needing at the time.
Thank you, Dr. Sina. All right, so the next question is for Elizabeth. Can you please let everyone know how your position as Victim Outreach Coordinators helps support a student who has been affected by sex discrimination, sexual assault, dating violence, stalking, or anything in relation to? What can they expect when meeting with you?
So I'm always in addition to Michael Hills, UPD, Tina Yang, counseling department. So it's a collaborative approach, right? So one thing they should expect is that, one, you are not required to meet with me. I don't want to take away your choices or your options. It's always an option, and it's always an open door policy. Let's say you're not ready at that moment. When I reach out to you, I leave you a final message, and whenever you're ready, you can reach back out. My services are, like I said, in addition to everyone who is in this panel actually. And then I offer resources on campus, off campus. I help you find legal help as well, and kind of these outside resources that you might not find in-house, and support you through the Title IX process. I'll help you kind of explain what the process may look like if you don't understand it, because I know it is scary to come forward and to speak to someone, and also know that while I am confidential, I have the same requirements as anyone else in this panel. I do have to report for clarity purposes and make sure that those are clear and concise, which don't have identifiable information, but do inform the campus on what the crime was. And I also help individuals who were not only affected while on campus, but if it happened in your past, we can also assist you in those services as well. And it's basically just in addition to resources and making sure you have support throughout your process so you can complete your education and be successful while at TAMUC.
Thank you, Elizabeth. How can someone make a referral or send a concern to you?
So we actually have a link which I'm going to place in the chat right before this ends, but it is a place where you can report a concern anonymously or for a student, or a student can do it for themselves. Important thing, kind of like they said before, if you don't place any contact information, we will not be able to follow up with you, but it would be great to have that contact information and kind of let me know what the incident was about. You don't have to put in detail exactly, but if you put minimal information, I usually know why you're contacting me. And in regards to, most of my cases do come down from University Police or Michael Hill, or an anonymous person sent me over a student, but we want to encourage everyone on campus and in our community to use these services, so that way we may be able to help our students and that they don't have to be or feel like they need to do it alone, because they do have support on campus.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, everyone. All right, so this is for all our panelists. Is there any additional information you feel everyone should know?
Yes, I feel like the biggest thing is to know that we work collaboratively. While we're so different entities, we've all connected in one way or another. And I feel like the biggest thing is knowing that we have a community that not only acknowledges that this is going to happen, but also acknowledges the fact that we do have services on campus to support these students. And we also want to make sure that they know that we work together, and that does not mean we share information with, cross-share information with one another, but it does mean that we are here for you as a campus collaboratively, and it doesn't mean you need to be alone throughout the process. So if anyone has any questions, you can go ahead and add them to the chat box at this point in time, and we'll try to answer them as best as possible.
While we're waiting for somebody to ask questions in chat, just so everyone knows, I've in the group chat, I've added a link for the current campus safety report PDF. If you just click on that link, it'll bring up that PDF for you guys to take a look at.
Thank you, Ray.
So if no questions, out a little bit.
All right, so if no one has questions, we're gonna go ahead and close. So I'd like to thank you all to the panelists for attending today. This was very great information to know for our students and faculty. We would like to thank everyone for taking time out of their day to attend our webinar. Please reach out to everyone's emails in the chat. So if you have any questions regarding anything, please feel free to reach out to anyone here. We hope everyone have a great day and the rest of your week.
Thank you everyone for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Sure.